We asked you,
And you told us.
what's on your bucket list? Next on the Sonic Boomers. Well, hi, I'm Pete.
And I'm Maureen.
And we are the Sonic Boomers. Our inspiration for each episode comes from, well, whatever we pull off the top of our heads.
Or someplace else.
And our goal on the show is to be entertaining, informative, and occasionally get some of you ticked off. In other words,
Thought-provoking.
so please take this opportunity right now to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So
It
please
makes
do
us
that.
feel good,
And we
too.
feel good too when we see that you like us. So this week we're going to be talking about the bucket list. Now, for those of you who don't know what a bucket list is, it is the list of things that you would like to see or do before you kick the bucket. And the whole thing came out of a 2007 movie called The Bucket List. But that's where it comes from. And as we often do, before we come into the studio here and record, we'll put it up on Facebook and ask some of you for your thoughts and opinions on things. And we did ask, what is on your bucket list? And we heard from a few folks. We're going to share that with you now. And make sure you listen to the end of the show because we're going to share ours with you.
That's right. And a lot of our listeners are very witty people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're going to enjoy this list.
Are they witty or are they just smart asses?
I like to say witty.
Because my dad called me that a lot.
Yeah.
I thought I was witty, but I really thought for much of my teen years, smart ass was my middle name or
Oh,
something.
there you go. So Paul Guya says his wishes, his bucket list is not to trip over the bucket and break a hip. See what I mean?
We also heard from Mark, and Mark says that he wants to go to Iceland. And he also would like Björk, an Icelandic singer, to wear one of his fashion designs, because I guess she's known for wearing outrageous things.
Yes.
He would also like to figure out how to be self-employed, ride more roller coasters, pet a sloth, be a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race, and remake the movie Metropolis in his own style and also win the Mega Millions. Well, good luck with that, Mark.
That sounds good. Arlene says she'd give her husband.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Just to be able to go back to Germany and visit the little villages where her ancestors came from. She used to live in Germany at one point, and at that time she hadn't really done any ancestry investigation, so she didn't know much about her family heritage. So since then, she's found out a lot. She's done a lot of research on her ancestry, and now that she knows, she would love to go back to Germany and be able to visit those places.
And we heard from Victor, and Victor says that he would very much like to tour the Holy Land.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that. And Ed says he has a fascination with ancient ruins. He's been to a few in the U.S., but he would like to go to his homeland, which is Poland, and see where his grandmother was from in Galicia, and to visit the Walexa salt mine.
And Kurt says, I want to do Traffic with Pete on the air. Well,
I think he's kissing up.
Kurt, I would say hang on a little bit, and who knows? There may be an opening one of these days that you can that you can
Well,
fit
I think he
into.
wants to do it with you.
Oh,
Roka Razi says the Holy Land and filming locations of his favorite L.A. gangster films. And we were discussing whether he meant gangster as in like Godfather or gangsta as in Compton.
Yeah. And Ann says she wants to set foot in all 50 states. She would also like to live to be at least 100, just as long as she's not a houseplant. And she would like to visit Hungary and Germany.
Yeah. And Michelle says she would like to set foot on every continent, which I think would be kind of cool.
And Maria also says she would like to tour the Holy Land. So that's 3 votes for the Holy Land that we have here.
And Kevin would like to move to Thailand in the next 5 years with his husband.
We have a special guest coming up.
Oh, yes.
Here he is. Come on up here, buddy. This is Sydney. And
Of course, for those of you that are listening to the audio, you're not seeing
I am
this,
holding
but
up our stuffed koala, and he is one of many that we have in our collection, and they all have names, most of them. And this guy is called Sydney. And Sydney has a message that he would like to share with you. What is it, Sydney, that you want to say? Okay. All right, I can do that. Sydney says it would make him very happy if you did give a like to our podcast and consider subscribing, and also click on the notification bell so that you know when we download a new show. Okay, Sydney, thank you very much for your help. See, we don't have pets, so that's our pet. Some people bring their pets on in the show. Those are the only pets that we have. Those and our house plants. Maybe next show we'll have one of our philodendrons will stop by and give you a message. So now let's get into our entries on our own bucket list.
Right.
And the list really isn't as long as I thought it was going to be.
Right. And I think part of that is because you try to, at this point in life, try to hone it down to things that maybe are really possible that you're going to do.
Yeah.
Versus pipe dreams that you have.
Or something that you might have been able to do when you were younger that you
maybe can't do now.
Can't do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think number one on my list would still be to do something with a koala. Some way, shape, or form. I would dearly love to be able to actually hold a real koala. And
here you go. Hold this guy. Hold Sydney.
He's close enough. But I would really like to hold a real koala. And that would be really cool.
I guess the best bet would be to get to Australia, but that's hard. That's very expensive, and it's hard.
It's a long trip, a long plane ride.
There are about 3 or 4 zoos in the United States that have them. I just don't know if any of them will let you hold the koala as they might do down in Australia.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But I would still take a trip to one of the zoos if we could.
I think there's one in Ohio.
So that would be a really big thing that I would love to do. Another bucket list item that I would like is to be able to take a trip across the United States and visit all the major attractions that I've never seen.
Maureen wants to see that world's biggest ball of string.
I actually do. And I'd like to see Carhenge, and I'd like to see the world's biggest coffee pot. But aside from those, I would like to see like the Grand Canyon. We flew over it at one point, but I've never been to it up close and personal. I'd like to see Mount Rushmore. I'd like to see Old Faithful erupt. I'd like to see the Golden Gate Bridge, things like that. And it'd be really cool to be able to say that I was in all 50 states, or at least 48 of the contiguous U.S. I think the next item of the realistic bucket list would be Prince Edward Island.
Which is doable.
And that would be a really neat thing because as a kid I had gotten a brochure from Prince Edward Island with the most beautiful photographs of the place and the flowers and just full color, gorgeous place.
Maureen, there are some beautiful pictures of Staten Island, and it's a hell of a lot closer.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I would, at that time, I thought, that would be a really cool place to go see. And it's always been in the back of my mind. And now maybe we can do that at some point. As far as maybe the unrealistic bucket list at this point would be, I would love to go to France and spend an extended amount of time. And of course, I want to see all the name brand things. I'd like to see the Eiffel Tower. I'd like to see the Arc de Triomphe. I want to see the Louvre and do those kind of things. But I'd also like to see the wine valleys and go to Cannes and Riviera and things like that too.
So you have the advantage that you speak French.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to see the Eiffel Tower, and I would love to see the Paris Opera House. And I would have to rely on you a great deal because I don't speak French. If I tried to, I'd probably say something and you'd be like, Pete, you just said you want to boink his sister. Oh, okay. Is that why he slapped me?
Well, I think if you're in the big cities, there's probably plenty of people that speak English.
Well, I think most Europeans speak English, unlike we Americans who we kind of crawl our way through English as it is. I think a lot of Europeans speak multiple languages because the countries are a lot closer together there too. but I would like to go.
Okay.
My list, you and I have the same number one on the top of our list, and that is we each would love to hold a real koala. No offense to our friend Sydney, but we each would love to actually cuddle up with a real koala. And I also, in other places that I'd like to see, I would like to go to Prince Edward Island with you. I also want to go to Key West. I want to go to Key West so badly. And our daughter just came back from Key West. And I really, really, really want to do that. And again, it's doable.
Yes. That's what I'd like to do. And another thing, while we're down in Florida doing that, I still want to see a rocket launch.
We almost saw one.
Yes.
We were down in Orlando several years ago, and we drove all the way over to Canaveral, and they canceled it. They scrubbed it at like the last minute.
Right.
Now, we were practically there for the countdown, and they scrubbed it.
And you have to understand, it was bumper to bumper traffic.
Yeah, it was miserable.
And the kids were
young, and they were like, when are we going to get there? And why are we doing this? Where we were, they had a pool. Why can we?
And then they rescheduled the launch for the next day.
Yeah.
But after going through all that, I
We
didn't
were
want
not
to
gonna
put the
drive that
family.
again.
I wouldn't want to put the family through that again, and then possibly have it not go off. So we were this close, but we didn't make it.
Yeah.
So that's something I still would love to see.
And also, I would like a sports car.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted one. I guess I really started wanting one when I was like in my 40s. I figured that was my midlife crisis car, and I couldn't afford it. And, we needed a car that was a family vehicle. And now, I'm coming up on 70, and I'm in a better position to afford a sports car than I was when I was 40. But I don't know if that's going to happen. What for me is a sports car? Well, it's not it's not a Corvette. It's not a Maserati or, maybe a Porsche. I'd like the Porsche, and also a Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
And Tesla is more of I don't know if you would call it a sports car or not. I think they probably have some models that are a little more sporty. But even if it's not a sports car, I would love to have a Tesla.
Okay.
Just because of the technology, and they're cool, and the experience of driving one and the acceleration. Because we all know how you drive on the Garden State Parkway. And I think that would be cool. And our friend Mike actually has one, and he was nice enough to let me sit inside his, but we didn't take it out. So, Mike, if you're ever thinking about unloading that Tesla and you want to unload it cheap, call your buddy Pete.
Yeah, sounds good.
But I think that's about it.
You know what just went through my mind when you were saying in your 40s, that was your midlife crisis?
Yes.
Our kids are 40s. Two of our kids are in their 40s.
Yeah.
And I don't think of them as midlifers, it's really weird.
Kids, if you're listening, you are. Okay? You're midlifers. And traveling, like I said, Key West, Prince Edward Island with you, if you ever went to Paris. For a while, I wanted to go to Italy because that was where my dad was from. And it was this little village up in the mountains in Italy. And I thought, wow, that would be really cool to go. And then I found out that I really wasn't Italian. And we actually have a whole podcast and a YouTube that we did on that. And then when I found out that I wasn't Italian at all, but rather part German and part Irish, I kind of lost the desire to make that trip to Italy.
Yeah,
because I didn't have any skin in the game anymore.
Right.
But I don't have any great desire to go to Germany either, because I'm part German. But I would like to go to Ireland. So I'm also part Irish, and to me that seems like a more fun thing than to go to Germany.
Yeah.
Not to offend anybody, but
it's fine.
It's more appealing to me.
So maybe one of these days.
So I think that's our list, right?
I think so.
Hey, listen, we want to thank you for listening to the Sonic Boomers podcast on any one of the many platforms that we're on these days, and also for watching us on YouTube. And if you enjoyed the show, if you found it fun and entertaining, please give us a like or give us a subscribe.
Give us some love.
That really helps us out a lot. And Maureen and I are cooking up an idea for a new YouTube show. We don't know if it's going to happen or not. We actually just started, literally, as they say, thinking about it today. And the two of us were laughing our asses off about possible stuff that we could do on the show. And we think would be a lot of fun. We're just trying to figure out how to make it happen technically. So it may happen, it may not happen, but there's something kind of on the back burner that we're working on.
So be sure to tune in all the time to us, because when we do, we will tell you.
So until next time, I'm Pete.
And I'm Maureen.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.